in the bottom right corner, our red Zerg player from Team Ascension. Can he finish it out? This is NoRegreT.
And over on the top left, we have our blue Zerg player. Representing Gear in the rear, he is currently down 0-1 in this best of 3. It is SteAdfaSt.
Ooh, SteAdfaSt. Do you... Wait a second.
Hmm?
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Yep.
9 pool.
Yep, so it's going to be this yet again, and it worked against Believe, so we'll have to see. We'll work this time around. But, of course, you know, this is the winner's bracket. Even if it doesn't, he still has the ability to make the run back in the loser's bracket. So, right now, though, NoRegreT. He's not going to be doing bad himself.
Yeah, I mean, 10 pool, like 11 gas versus 9 pool, currently just 9 pool from SteAdfaSt. So, I'm assuming SteAdfaSt was hoping NoRegreT was going to go into some sort of hatch first, maybe double hatch. Like, I'm assuming it was just like, all right, I really hope you're not going for a 10 pool, because if you go for a 10 pool, then I'm probably just in a bad spot.
Yeah, and you know, with the gas also available for NoRegreT, he's going to be getting that metabolic boost, and if NoRegreT can keep himself in the game for long enough that once metabolic boost comes out, his Zerglings will be ever so much better, and even a Baneling Nest can be coming out from NoRegreT.
Yeah, prioritizing the Baneling Nest is going to be the use of that gas over getting speed. Probably going to be looking to play a little bit defensive. Now, Lings are going to be heading out, and they do pass by that Overlord, a nice spot for NoRegreT. He is going to know pretty much... I mean, I don't know if he knows exactly, but he's going to be like, all right, you're either going for like a 9 pool or a 10 pool. Same thing that I went for, and the Ling's going to be swinging around the long way for NoRegreT, so he's going to be looking to play defensive back at home with just the few Lings he's got there.
Yeah, I think he was kind of expecting something fishy is going on. So he's got 4 Lings at home. He's got the Baneling Nest on the way. Now 6 Lings back at home. So far it looks like the micro is in the favor of NoRegreT. Will be able to kill off 2 of the Lings without losing too much of his own. And now he's got up to 7, I believe, as 1 did die. And will be able to chase away our blue Zerg player for now.
On top of that, morphing Banelings in the main of his opponent. It's one of those moves that can win you the game in mere moments. He's holding back home. He's got a reasonable number of Lings to hold off the attack, but back in the main of SteAdfaSt, there's the drone pull. He does get some really solid impact. Well, they may very well be game winning, as 5 drones have gone down. 7 in total get eliminated. He's down to 4 workers versus the 9 of NoRegreT.
Now... Yep. Actually, it looks to be 5, as a couple of them were stacked on top of each other. But, yeah, this is not good for SteAdfaSt. And it's kind of funny, as the game's kind of reset in terms of economy. Back down to the beginning of the game. But, of course, you know, the Zerglings are still hanging around. And, again, that fear of that Baneling Nest. Now metabolic boost on the way. SteAdfaSt, he's falling ever so much more behind.
He's continuing to press out what he can in terms of drones. As you can see, SteAdfaSt went from just like that 5 or 6 up to 13 remarkably quickly. Zergling speed finally going to be on the way for NoRegreT, which means his Lings will actually have that nice advantage in speed and able to get surrounds on his opponent's units that much more quickly. 8 more Lings on the way for SteAdfaSt. They might be in time, as he does have the double queen and some healthy number of Lings himself to help him hold off this attack.
And he will be able to get up the ramp, and that's very big. But unfortunately, his Baneling gets sniped by the queen, so not going to be able to do anything with that. And for right now, it looks like NoRegreT, he's kind of just banking on waiting for the metabolic boost to come out. Wouldn't be surprised if he took an expansion anytime soon, as he has sort of been camping out the natural of his opponent just to try and hold SteAdfaSt back in the main.
So he's going for a couple more Banelings, and he's not quite banking up the minerals necessary to go for that expansion. Yeah, I mean, NoRegreT is in one of those situations where it's getting close to being do or die. Of course, ZVZ can change very quickly. A couple of bad moments, a couple of bad engagements can completely shift the entire weight and the momentum of the game. These Baneling hits could be huge. They do manage to get into the main. One of them gets eliminated. The other one doesn't really get a solid impact, and there's still a healthy number of lings on the defense here for SteAdfaSt.
Yep, and that Spine Crawler has been doing wonders here for SteAdfaSt, just providing that extra bit of DPS. And of course, as you said, healthy number of lings here for SteAdfaSt, having another queen. So right now he's in an amazing spot so far, doing a very good job at coming back from this deficit that he had previously. And NoRegreT has been committing to the Zergling aggression, but getting nothing out of it.
He picks up a creep tumor! Yay! But hatcheries are starting for both of these Zerg players at approximately the same time. The worker lead going to be 6 in the favor of SteAdfaSt. Oh, those Banelings getting very close. They do clean up the majority of the Zerglings. There's just, I think, no lings actually left on the low ground, but the lings from NoRegreT are so low on HP.
Yeah, there's only 2 of them as well, and now they're both gone. It looks like that will end our Zergling aggression from NoRegreT. Both players, a single Zergling in the production tab. Just going to be droning up for now. And as you said, they've both taken hatcheries at approximately the same time. But the difference here is that SteAdfaSt has 3 queens, so his creep will be much better than his opponent. NoRegreT, with only the single queen, is only going to be able to get out some larva injects. He can't afford to throw down the creep tumors and get himself more comfortable vision.
Connecting those bases just for... NoRegreT actually getting supply block there. Very annoyingly, those queens stepping so far off creep to kill off that Overlord. I mean, it's going to be a pretty good deal for SteAdfaSt. Nice move by him. But connecting those 2 or 3 bases, depending on how long this game goes, can be so important for the defense of the Zerg. And of course, in a ZVZ, you've always got the question of, like, how much creep do you want to spread? Most Zerg players agree that you want to at least connect your bases just so you can get units there for the defense.
Yeah, and especially if you're trying to transition into a Hydralisk-based army, or, you know, just even getting the queens across is so much easier when you have that creep spread down. But it looks like NoRegreT, he doesn't care too much. He's going to be throwing down his lair. He's got an evolution chamber on the way. I'm going to say he's going to be going for the Mutalisks again, as, you know, he's going to be going up to the 3 gases very soon, but the gases are a bit late.
They're a bit late, but we also haven't... Well, I mean, the layer is now starting for SteAdfaSt, and actually the Roach Warren also going to be starting for NoRegreT. Sometimes if you see that kind of Roach versus Muta sort of play, again, if this was a slightly more normal game, and you see one Zerg player going for the Roaches, one Zerg player going for the Muta, it's on the kind of onus of the Muta player to survive until they can get out those Muta numbers that they need to keep off the Roaches, and that's where we see so many Zerg players falter in ZVZ if they're going for Mutas, is the Roach guy just has an army that's actually able to kill his opponent. In this case, I'm not actually sure what NoRegreT is going to be going for, but the 3rd hatch is on the way for SteAdfaSt.
Well, it looks like NoRegreT's going to be committing to these Roaches. He's going to be getting +1 missile attacks for now. As you said, that 3rd base going down. Lair is going to be now finished up, so we'll have to see what kind of tech SteAdfaSt wants to go for. Obviously not going to be Roaches. You wouldn't get your Roach Warren this late into the game. You don't need Lair for it anyways. And it will be, in fact, the Spire. Now, NoRegreT, as you said, if he can get out a lot of Roaches and just go attack before the Mutas come out, or while the Mutas are just starting to accumulate, then it's very easy for him, as there's no defense for it other than maybe a Spine Crawler or 2.
Simply, SteAdfaSt won't have the necessary units at his disposal. One queen going to be stepping pretty far off creep, going to be going Overlord hunting. For now, still just those 2 hatcheries of production for NoRegreT, but as you referenced, the Roaches, and now the +1 attack is getting so much closer to finishing up. It's going to be finishing up right about the time where these Roaches are going to be hitting the opponent's base. Now, this is a healthy number of Zerglings moving out. Oh, that Baneling hit was so nice to start off this attack for NoRegreT.
And that's half of the Zerglings now only remaining for SteAdfaSt. The Roaches even going to be able to damage a few of them. SteAdfaSt, though, now he knows this is coming. He's going to try getting as many Zerglings out as possible, but he's only got so much supply available to him at the time. He's going to be getting out some Banelings to try and aid this, but Roaches, they don't They handle Banelings extremely well. These Banelings won't even get to finish, honestly. And now the Zerglings are trying to come out. These Roaches now do have the +1 missile attacks, and it looks to be in the favor of NoRegreT extremely.
Having the Spine Crawlers actually finish is so important. If they're light, as we saw them there, they just are so useless. Now the 12 Mutalisks are on the way. They're going to be able to start to clean up these Roaches. But again, the ideal time for Mutalisks, for your opponent to see that you have Mutalisks, is when they're in your worker line. And in this case, the Roaches are going to take some time for these Mutalisks to actually clean up. That's buying so much time for NoRegreT to react to it.
Yep, and now the drones, even the main, gonna have to get pulled off. Some of the Roaches starting to get cleaned up by the Mutalisks. Now over at the third, more drones getting pulled, and right now SteAdfaSt, his economy is in shambles, with it dropping below 200 mineral income right now. This is not what you want. You want to have as much income as you can as possible, as you need just... When you're going for the Mutalisks in the CVZ, you need to just have as many Mutalisks as possible in the mid-game. You cannot rely on having a small number. And right now, even, as you said, NoRegreT, he's going to be able to prepare for these Mutalisks so easily. He's got 4 Spore Crawlers on the way, he's got a Hydralisk end, and sure, he doesn't have a third base, but SteAdfaSt is essentially on half a base at the moment.
His worker saturation, not exactly where he would like it to be as far as the bases that he's actually mining off of. Ling's going to be coming by, and again, this is buying enough time for NoRegreT to, like you said, get out the Hydras. Yeah, he was able to get the Hydra Den down, but now he's actually producing the Hydras, and still the Mutalisks are on SteAdfaSt's half of the map as they're scrambling to deal with these Lings. More drones brought off the time, even more lost mining time, even more drone deaths going down as an additional 10 or so have been cleaned up by these Lings. And oh my word, he's climbing into 41 drones lost over the course of this game.
Yep, and right now he's only got 24 to his name, though the army supply is rather even. It's about 10 army supply difference, and, you know, of course you do have Mutalisks being the majority that are bringing that back up. Of course, you know, as you said earlier, the Hydralisk now getting produced. You've got a lot of Spore Crawlers on your side of the map. These Mutalisks, I'm not sure how much they'll actually be able to do.
The supply block is nice. NoRegreT going to be losing a couple more of those Overlords, and this is a serious number of Mutalisks, but as we already saw on the production tab, there were 4 Spore Crawlers that were started earlier. Presently, out on the field, 15 Hydras, and this is only 19 Mutalisks. So maybe if the Mutalisks are able to catch off parts of this army, but if they try to engage against the whole thing, they're just going to be shredded.
Yep, and especially with that Groove Spines, it makes it even so much harder for the Mutalisks to come in and poke off little bits, as the Hydralisk will be able to fire back at them. And soon Muscular Augments finishing up will just make it so much harder for SteAdfaSt to get in with these Mutalisks. Right now, it looks like the Hydras might actually be able to chase after them. We'll get a couple of... get like half a volley off, but not too much damage done there.
The Mutalisks so far from SteAdfaSt are doing a really good job of just staying out of range of the Hydras. SteAdfaSt knows that if he overcommits with those Mutalisks, he loses a huge investment, a large portion of his army. And of course, the nice thing is maybe if this army is completely out of position, he could potentially find some weak spots, some openings back in the home of NoRegreT. Of course, he still has to deal with the Queens and the Spore Crawlers, but potentially there are those openings and those weaknesses he can find.
Yep, and now Muscular Augments is going to be finishing up, so this Roach Hydra army is going to be so much faster. And it looks like a couple of reinforcements going to get cut off by the Mutalisks. A couple of Roaches going to be our only defense. Baneling's trying to get in on the Hydras, will damage them highly. A lot more Baneling's going to be coming in, actually. And that is the majority of the army getting cleaned up there. The Mutalisks going to be able to...
GG! Wow. Yeah, exactly. Those Banelings, that just like one single unit that completely spelled defeat for NoRegreT. He tried to split his Hydralisks back and back and back, but while they were splitting back, they're taking so much damage from the Mutalisks, and then his Roaches weren't in high enough numbers to just body block for the Hydras and absorb those Baneling hits, which is normally what you like to see. And some nice moves coming out from SteAdfaSt, yeah. I could only think of NoRegreT's name, but some nice moves coming out from SteAdfaSt, able to take that very wonky game, considering the 9-pool versus 10-pool opening that we saw.
Yeah, and, you know, I'd have to say, like, those banelings, it wasn't even that the first baneling killed a block. They just damaged the Hydralisk, allowing the Mulisk to come in and clean up the rest of the Hydralisk.
Yep, sometimes the damage is not always in the direct kills that the units give, but again, removing that Hydralisk DPS from the upcoming engagements, and that was a scary number of Hydras, but again, if you're going for the Roach Hydra composition, the Roaches are almost an equally important part of that composition just to be the tanks to absorb all of that damage. Unfortunately, not actually able to make it work, but SteAdfaSt, he evens things up 1-1, and he's already taken out the #1 seed. Can SteAdfaSt take out the #2 seed as well? This is one heck of an underdog story.
Yep, and you know, SteAdfaSt, as I said a bit earlier in the broadcast, he hasn't been playing too much, but you know, sometimes having that bit of a break from the game does help. It lets you clear your mind, you can come back to it with a blank slate, you can refill everything you need, and we'll have to see. Again, will SteAdfaSt be able to take out both top 2 seeds and guarantee himself $25 and a ticket to EGL? Though I don't think he's actually able to come next week, which would be a little unfortunate.
That would be very sad if he was able to, you know, secure that free ticket and then he just can't make any use of it. However, we do have this final game. It's going to be on Coda, and of course, it's going to finish out this best of 3. We're tied 1-1. It's match point. Very dangerous territory for both of these guys, and they've both shown that they're willing to go the limit as far as the aggression goes. I mean, nobody really goes for anything less than a 9 pool. You just don't see it. Yeah, you technically could go for a 6 pool, but nobody does that.
You know, I wouldn't put it past some of the guys up here in Ontario. I'd have to say Toronto's probably one of the least standard regions for StarCraft 2, as I'm sure you've been able to tell from NoRegreT shenanigans.
He has been bringing the shenanigans for sure, but it all comes down to this, our one final opportunity. If the past games have been anything to show for, then this game is going to be getting underway with some very high aggression very soon.